I'm looking at all that stuff from Trump going after the cartels. And, you can't, of course you can't believe anything that they tell you anyway. So, people are speculating that it's really about the oil. But it's not about the oil because we don't need oil. We have plenty of oil. It's a common thing that's just in the ground everywhere. Those wars over in the Middle East that they thought that they say, oh, blood for oil, wasn't for oil. Where are all the giant tanker ships that went and took the oil out of those Middle Eastern countries after the wars? When was that operation? There wasn't. The whole oil scam started hundreds of years ago. It was at some kind of meeting in the United States. It wasn't like a World's Fair, but it was like one of those things where businessmen got together. And the Rockefellers and Rothschilds were there, and they were trying to figure out a way to monetize a natural resource, to make money off it. And they were trying to figure out how to do it with water, but they really couldn't. So what else do we have? What else do we have a lot of? That's everywhere. It's in the ground. Oil. So that's where the scam began. There are more detailed retellings of that story and how the whole thing started. But yeah, we don't need oil. It's everywhere. That fracking that they do, I have some theories about what that is for, because I know it's not for oil. But I'd have to really get some more information before I presented some of these theories. I'll just kind of know what I'm talking about before I say something, but I think it has to do with the spiritual warfare subject. But anyway, yeah, nothing is ever done for oil. We have plenty of oil. It's in the ground everywhere. And it's not from dinosaurs because, well, I don't know who needs to hear this, but maybe you never have before. Dinosaurs never existed. They're not real. That's why you can go into any toy store and buy dinosaurs. So you look at like little kids' fucking clothes and pajamas and shit, walk around any store, because that's where you should be looking at them unless you have a kid yourself. Dinosaurs and rocket ships. Dinosaurs, everything's dinosaurs and space. Two things that don't exist. There were never any dinosaurs. And that was another scam that was invented by, not by the Rockefellers, but a Rockefeller adjacent guy. And you can ask anyone, and they have to tell you, these bones that are in museums, like how they have the big T-Rexes made, they have to tell you, they're not real dinosaur bones. They're presented as, and they're supposed to be like a recreation of, but most of there's a company in China that makes bones in museums, and what they'll tell you is, well, they're too precious to put on display, and plus they have to be kept in a certain kind of air so they don't corrode. But yeah, they have to tell you that they're not real. Yeah, none of that shit is real. So the idea too, the fossil fuel idea, it's hilarious anyway. It's like, well, we have to find another dinosaur pit so we can get oil, because that's the fucking story they had. It's so dumb. It was at the time. It's like you don't think much about it, but in the days we're living in now, where you're starting to realize things, or people are realizing things because the scales are coming off their eyes, veils breaking down. They fucking told us that fossil fuels are from prehistoric animals. There wasn't any prehistoric animal. None of that shit's real, guys. None of that shit's real. Neither is space. These are things that you just have to come around to. And you can come around to that while I go get a drink in ABC store. Yeah, my sources for space and dinosaurs are kids' pajamas. Those are my sources. I'm imagining anybody that's here already knows all that shit, or you probably should, right? But yeah, so I really wonder what that whole thing is about. Again, they don't care about you. They want you dead. So this idea about we're going to stop drugs from coming into America because they kill Americans, that's also horseshit. So I wonder what it is. You know, that's how you always have to think about these things. You have to, like, whatever they say it is, you have to in your mind, like, understand that it's horseshit, and you have to figure out something else. CIA works with all those guys, right, that they're trying to put down. So maybe it's something between them. Maybe something happened there. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting that they're taking it to such a level. They're like putting a wartime kind of troop thing together. It's crazy how many soldiers and stuff. I'm trying to think of what you would call like military tanks and stuff. And yeah, so much of that is being put down there. It looks like they're getting ready for war with Venezuela. I don't know what kind of war that would be, but it's pretty crazy. Hang on a second, I gotta run to the 7-0 store. Then we out of the 7-0 store. Still struggling with it. Still struggling with it. The thing is, like, I mean, I beat it twice. I've been off it twice. The last time I was off it for a while, like almost 2 months. And instead of, like, I looked at it like, well, I was working out the bugs for how to get off it. I think the opposite happened. I think the addiction was working out the bugs for how to get me to stay on it. The thing is, like, I'm not in a position to hit rock bottom. You know, I got a great support system. I've got fucking long-form COVID or long COVID. I'm just kidding, it doesn't exist. COVID's like fucking dinosaurs in space. It's not real. That's okay if you believe in that stuff, it's fun. You know? But it's not real. I believe some stuff in Lord of the Rings might have happened in the real world. That's a whole theory of thought. About, like, those things used to actually exist. I mean, we're still dealing with the orc problem today, if you look around. But yeah, it's horseshit. 7-0 though. I don't know. It's just like, I mean, I've run out of money, right? But even when I run out of money, I never really like run out of money. You know, I'd be on the street, right? Sometimes I have to wait a couple days till I get paid again. But the last times I got off it wasn't because of that. I mean, that was a factor, like, because I was spending so much money. Money, of course, was a factor. But I was never broke, you know? Both times I got off it because I recognized it sucks. You know, I'd rather not be on this stuff. And this time it's like, now there are ways to get off it. I use kind of the last time I got up, I used a bit of I'll talk about that some other time. But I got off it, you know. This time it's like, I don't know. I'm not feeling the fucking pull to get off it. It's weird. It's almost like the addiction, third time's the charm with that shit. And they mastered how to fucking, you know, how to get me. And now they got me. I'm stalling here because I'm trying to smoke this before I go in. I don't want to get started on a subject and have to leave you for Target. But I also don't want to throw the cigarette away because I already thrown one away. So, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to hang out a little bit with you. How you doing? It's good. It's good. Yeah, people get really mad when you tell them NASA's fake and everything. they shoot all that shit in swimming pools. I think even most normies have kind of have an idea, like, all right, it's kind of silly. One of my tweets that Elon Musk, like, he likes a couple of my tweets, not bragging or anything, but one of them was, he was talking about doing something in space, one of the SpaceX programs, and I had a picture of his car. No, I didn't post the picture, it was just words, that's right. But the words were in relation, my words, were in relation to his car going in space. I quoted him saying, "You know it's real because it looks so fake." And he liked that tweet, cheeky prick. He knows when people know. I don't think that was an admission or anything, but he was, you know, he liked it for a reason. What was the other time he liked one of my tweets? I don't know. I do good tweets, man. Like, I just don't spend enough time there on X. If I did, I would, you know, I could build up my account. I know I can, because every time I go on there, my tweets do pretty well. If I stay on. Like, if I don't pay attention to it, like right now, I just post when a new video's up, and some people see it, some people don't. But when I get into the shit and start commenting on stuff, I've always been good with the word. You know, I guess I was a writer. Was I a writer? I don't know. I had a blog. I used to do music reviews for other blogs and publications online. So if it's online, is it a publication? I don't think I've ever written anything that was printed on paper. So yeah, so I mean, you know, I had skills in that department. So when I want to and put the time into it, I can usually do pretty well. I don't like the whole, I don't even know how to use some of that. Like, I don't understand how to, how you doing, buddy? Why is he waving at me? I'm kind of a boomerish when it comes to X Twitter. I don't even know how to do a lot of, like, I don't know how to quote people. Like, kind of an old man. I just never learned. I always had a Twitter account in one way or another, whether it was a band or private, you know. And reason being is because I was always trying to promote something or sell something, and when you do, you have to have the social medias for all that stuff, you know. But now that it's just me, I mean, I do the channel, but this isn't something that, you know, I really promote. The extent of promoting the channel is I put it on my Twitter that really no one sees, and I put it on my Instagram that even less people see. I think my Instagram posts it to my Facebook, which you don't want to be on Facebook. You don't want to be on Facebook. If you want haters, like legit haters, go on Facebook, because what happens is it's all people that maybe you went to high school with, or that you were friends with at some point and you're not friends with now. You'll get the most amount of hate and clowning from people who knew you, you know, because especially if you're doing something creative, like you're putting out music or something, or even the channel, like in this case I do this stuff, they don't like you to do that stuff. You know, they think you should stay in your lane. I guess I don't know what that means, but do nothing and die in the same town you were born in, I guess. Yeah, anytime I see something negative, I know it's from it's Facebook. But the thing is, I don't know how to turn that off, which is more like my boomerish attitude towards social media, my lack of social media skills. So yeah, I don't know. What the fuck are we even talking about? All right, I'm gonna cut this out. I'll be right back. Another recent Trump thing, and another recent Trump thing is bringing National Guard into these cities to try to wrest control from the blacks. And people cheer that on, you know, understandably. You know, there's a part of me that also cheers that on, you know, because although I'm not a big fan of the government, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, get him, wrangle him up. But these are practice runs for when they come at people like me. And they will. White Christians, you know, that already weaponizing kind of everything against Christians, or setting it up. I've done whole presentations like that, though, explaining how it's going to be done, so it's settled science. But it'll come around again in the topic hopper. But yeah, that'll eventually be used on anti-Semitic people, you know, which is anyone that likes a meme, like it's doing in the UK, you know. They're fucked over there. Oh my God. They come to your house and they fucking take you out of your house for liking memes. It's fucked up. The reason is because they you know, don't have guns over there. That's the only thing that's really stopping them from doing it here. Is they're afraid of guns, you know. That's why, you know, it's not even worth going over. But there's a lot of people, and I sympathize, who think, you know, if you get rid of guns, it'll curb gun violence. In some cases, it will. But we'll also lose our ass, you know. So you can't give up the guns. You can never give up the guns. And I can't see a scenario and how that would happen, regardless of how many psyops they fucking fire up. Because it's always going to be the same thing. No matter how egregious the psyop is, or 52 children were killed when a lone gunman with an AR-15 went into the room, and 11 seconds later, you know, it's just so ridiculous, all of it. And I'm so sick of hearing people reference the Alex Jones, Sandy Hook thing. Like, yeah, Sandy Hook. You know, you don't want to get in trouble like Alex Jones. He didn't get in trouble. That's all. It was all bullshit. He's their guy. They own him, lock, stock, and barrel. He's controlled opposition, COINTELPRO. He's their dude. They didn't like people talking about Sandy Hook. I got people after me for that. In all my years of being on social media and getting pushback, the most I got, like the most intense backlash I got was from the Sandy Hook shit. I had connected Jewish people coming at me real bad. I don't even want to say it because I don't have receipts, right, for this shit. So I don't really want to get into it, because then it's just, you know, I don't know. If I'm going to say some of the stuff that happened, I need to show it. So, whatever. What I'm trying to get across is that they were really sensitive about that one. That particular psyop, they were real sensitive about. And I kind of trying to figure out why. Was it the first one that they used Mossad for? Or something? It has to be like some kind of Israeli thing, because those are people that got upset. It wasn't any like American guys, or it wasn't, you know, anything like that. It was Israeli people. So I definitely know they had a hand in that operation, as they do in most psyops. But it must have been one that was important to them for some reason. With the craze they went after people who challenged the narrative, which was fucking that whole thing. You know, I've done videos on it before. There was so much to that thing that was just so funny to me. And it's funny because no one died. Kids didn't die there, in my opinion. But anyway, they don't want you to talk about it. So what they did is they pretend sued their pretend truther guy for pretending to be talking about a pretend psyop and getting in pretend trouble. Oh, they sued him for $60 billion. It was so fucking, it was like a number a child, or like, you know, a black person would come up with. It was like just ridiculous. It was billion, million, trillion, whatever. And it scared people. It worked, because what it did is they couldn't really go after people for it. Because how? How would you do that? No, it really happened. My opinion, it didn't. No, it really did. You have evidence showing that? I mean, the onus is kind of on you, isn't it? No, well, Alex Jones said some stuff, and then that was it. So all they had to really do, instead of going out after individuals like me, and then not really being able to do anything except make some heinous personal threats toward a person and their family. I'm not saying this happened to me, I'm just saying they couldn't do that. They decided to just fix the whole problem by fake suing their fake guy. And that's what happened. That's what happened. So now people are afraid. So it works perfectly. It works for them. Because now people won't talk about it. I mean, people are scared to talk about it on YouTube. Because of that. I'm not. I have videos about it. I'll fucking do another video soon about another funny aspect of that. Because there was a lot to learn from that one. That was a good one. That was the first one where I was really paying attention the whole time. To every aspect for it. And you saw the PSYOP playbook. You know, not to get too into it, but, you know, the early hours of the PSYOP, there's 10 different storylines going on. A brother was involved who vanished out of the picture when that wasn't. I think they threw up a bunch of stuff, right? To cause confusion and to see what storyline people gravitate to or latch on to, whether it seems more sensational, whatever the point, whatever the case. They throw out a lot of different information. They do it every single time. You know, the one with the Charlie Kirk thing. They had the guy in the audience screaming, shoot me, shoot me. And they had this other guy over here. They had this other guy making hand signs. They just throw a bunch of shit out there. And a lot of those elements, as time goes on, vanish. And as they're crafting the official narrative, it's crafted. It's like a movie. Because these are the same guys that make movies. The same fucking... Hollywood is just a wing of their CIA fucking multi-letter agency. It's the same guys, same people, doing the same thing. They use a lot of the same actors too. I love it when you see like someone show up at something that, wow, it's kind of weird that he happened to go see Dark Knight the same night that guy went in there, and he was at the Boston bombing. Wow, this guy doesn't have a lot of luck, huh? You know, they have the same people, because people talk about crisis actors. Yeah, there are crisis actors. The military uses them to set up drills and stuff so the soldiers can get some kind of, can create a real world-esque kind of scenario. But they're not using that. You know, they have their own group of people, their own group of players. And I think it's because, you know, it's a bit more airtight that way. You know, and hilarious. What was the last one when they were showing kids with like geriatric grandparents? It's always like geriatric parents, or not grandparents, but the 8-year-old Jason's parents were really upset. And it's like, man, those are his parents? Looks like fucking Gandalf and Galadriel from the Brings version. No, actually Galadriel looked good. She was always looking good. You know what I mean, though? They're old people. Looking at them, they're like, maybe they're grandparents, but I don't even know if they're young enough there. And it's the same people all the time. They try to switch them up. Like, one day this guy's a dad, and the next one he's like working at the office or whatever, you know, wherever they were, you know. Let me get down here. I didn't even know they were behind me. That's schizophrenic, you know. I was worrying about cars coming in because, you know, whenever I'm down here, I get you know, surrounded by people and cars and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know that. And like I said, the reason people can sneak up on you like that is because nobody talks to each other around here. It's really weird. Like, even you're walking in the streets, and you know, like I'll get to a corner where I'm waiting to cross over, and you know, I'll get crowded around by people, but they don't speak to each other. It's like silence. So that's how people sneak up on you. But whatever, you can walk down here. Yeah, so it's like, and of all things, I'm yelling about fucking Sandy Hook, you know. But anyway, let's go over here to this jail. There we go. Excuse me. Yeah, so Sandy Hook, that was all complete bullshit, top to bottom. And now I'm thinking about doing the Sandy Hook video. What's going to be in it? There's so much. That was like the perfect psyop if you want to point out things to people, to show them like, hey, all this stuff's bullshit. It had all the fucking elements in it that you would want to have in a situation like that. It was perfect. But why were we talking about Sandy Hook? Like, why did I get there? Why are we here? Let's see if I can go back. Sometimes when you leave an area, it clears out, and you go back in the zone because they were there for you, obviously. So a lot of times that happens. I have to do that in stores. Like when I go into a store, a lot of times, like I try to keep my mind clouded because it's actually a quantum situation. There's this idea in quantum theory that the attention you give to something creates like almost like an attention vortex where it gathers more attention. So like if I go into a store sometimes and I'm like thinking about the peanut butter aisle, by the time I get there, there's like 10 people standing around staring at the fucking peanut butter. So when I go in the store, it's like to cloud my mind, but like she's just melting up because I'm no longer in the area, no longer required. That was freaky though, because I was going. I was like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how long they were there, but they were just quietly standing pretty close too. Like I was like here, and they were like right there. It was weird. Yeah, they get sneak up on you because they're silent. They don't make noise, most of the time. But anyway, yeah, that. I think what I was doing was talking about the psyops in general, and how they're all bullshit. They are all bullshit. Gun control, yeah, that was part of it too. It's funny when I don't mean to stay on the hook, but every parent that had something to say to media was always like, it was 2 sentences of like grief and then right into gun control talk. If we only had a president that was brave enough. It's so transparent with it. You just want to get the guns out of people's hands because you're pussies. You don't want another Waco. You don't want anything like that at all because they still have to get people to volunteer for this shit, and none of their own people are going to. And they do use mercenaries, but for a job like that, like going to get Americans out of their homes, I think they need a force that they have more control over, or that's more securely theirs. And you can't get anyone to volunteer for that. The one thing about evil people, they value their own lives. Like they're really crazy about staying alive. That's why they take hearts from kids and stuff when they'll take people who are waiting for transplant and they'll push a kid way back on the line so the old 94-year-old guy can get his fucking lung or whatever the fuck he's doing. Because they know when they die, they're fucked. They're going into the fucking pit. So they're always trying to find ways to stay alive, to keep this thing going. Because a long time ago, they made the decision that instead of teaching the progeny of God, they were going to trap them and suck off their energy and make themselves like gods here in this material realm. Problem is, once they die, it's kind of up in the air what happens, They're certainly not going to be able to get into our regular home in the 5th dimension, what some call heaven or whatever. They're not going in there. God's going to be mad at them, Firstly, because they locked him out of here. He got locked out. In the way like you might get locked out of one of your email accounts. They locked him right out of this place. The only thing about God that is that he didn't sense that this treachery was even afoot. He didn't know there was treachery afoot at the Circle K. That's a whole nother thing I really haven't put a lot of time reading about, like what the status of heaven and things were before you had the fall. And, I'm still kind of like surprised that Lucifer got that many angels to go in with him on this. The circumstances behind that whole thing, there's not a lot of stories about that out there. It's always just, well, he fell, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, right, I think he saw it, if I have to, my theory, is when Lucifer was assigned to take care of this place, he was very, 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 I was going to say jellyberry, very jealous of us. Because he saw God giving him a thing that he never got. It's like being a kid, right? With your dad remarried, and he wants you to babysit the new kid. You know, it's kind of like that. And what God was giving us and what he had intended for us was sort of we were getting the throne next. He feels he should have gotten the throne next, but because, do I even get into why that is? I gotta go upstairs. I can't go into that and just walk away from it. We're dropping a thing like that. Some of you know why. But yeah, at any rate, he got locked out of this fucking place. And he's pissed. So when he gets his hands on these people, it's not going to be good for them. So they know that. So because of that, they fucking try to prolong their material existence here. They look behind me, make sure no one's standing behind me. Yeah, I'm going to go up. You get the fucking idea. Thanks for popping in on me. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Until next time, as always, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.